These are 7 vital things about your insurance when renovating your property. So if you're a wannabe block renovator, make sure you're aware of these 7 risks. Risk number 1, and a lot of people do this, is when you're renovating your property, make sure to advise your insurer that you're doing so. Otherwise, your policy might be void. So make sure to update your building insurance by telling your insurer you're doing renovations to your property, and sometimes your current insurer might reject that and you might need to change insurers before you start renovating. Risk number 2 is if you're renovating your property and during that time you're thinking, hey, I don't want to live through that mess, that dust, it's a bloody nightmare, and you decide to live outside, either rent or live somewhere else while you're renovating, just make note, if you decide to vacate your current property and live somewhere else whilst you're renovating, well, if you're vacating for a longer than specified period, maybe that's not even your insurance policy's acceptable limit, it might void your policy. And generally, it's like more than 60 days. So if you're planning to do that, just update your insurance with your building insurance provider. Otherwise, if there's a fire while it's been vacated, you might get jack crap. Potential risk number 3 that you might not be aware of whilst renovating is that the home and contents insurance will not cover anything over $50,000 worth of claims whilst you're renovating. So my advice to you is, very generic advice, of course, not financial advice, is move your shit somewhere else in a storage place whilst you're renovating, because you don't want it to catch fire or the paint goes all over the place and it affects your luxury, home contents goods, and you can't claim that crap if the damage over $50,000. And potential risk number 4 that you need to mitigate is once you've done your renovation, it's done, make sure to update the value of the building insurance and also your home and contents insurance. Because guys, you don't want to spend 200 G's on the renovations of your PPOR only to find out when you're doing the claims, if there was some damages to the property, that you're not going to be covered for the extra 200 G's. Yikes. And potential risk number 5 for homeowners who do the DIY build themselves or the owner builders, you got to know that about 80 to 90% of the policies won't cover you if you're doing the renovation yourself. So make sure before you undertake these, renovations, you go get a builder's insurance, which is different to building insurance or home and contents insurance. And number 6, which is a very obvious thing to do, but a lot of people just don't check and assume that it's done, is that make sure your builder has their own builder's insurance before undertaking work on your renovations. Especially right now, there's a lot of small builders going kaboot or their work is defective. You want to make sure they have appropriate building insurance so that you can make a claim in those situations. And risk number 7, the very last risk and the most important risk, is if you undertake a renovation project on, for example, your property, and you abandon that project after 30 days, some policies will not cover your claim. To give you a very simple example, say for example, you have some tradies to work on the renovation project of your place. For example, this tradie had too much jobs to do, and for a consecutive of 30 days, they didn't really work on the project. Or for example, during that 30 days, it was raining, like maybe 90% of the time, and then this project was abandoned technically. And say after a week from the 30th day of abandonment, you made a claim against defective work, well, your building insurer will tell you to F off your claim. So guys, those are the 7 risks of renovating your property. Jump in the comments, let me know what you think.